One of the greatest tragedies of the 21st century is that despite all the technological advances, there's still so many men in the world that are not doing work they love. Perhaps this is happening to you right now. So in this video, I want to share with you a 5-step process that I use to transition from a job that was sucking my soul away to now a career in a business I love that fulfills me and that really feels like I'm living my dream. And I sincerely believe that this framework can be applicable to you right now if you're willing to put in the work. So what do we do instead? How do we get out of this predicament and get on the path to a job you love, to a career that fulfills you, to perhaps even creating a business that would make a big difference in the world? Well, the first thing you need to understand before I tell you those 5 steps is that it's not a magic bullet. You're still gonna have to work. You're still gonna have to be bold. You're gonna have to be unconventional. This works, but you have to be willing to make it work. So the first step is that you have to understand what Gay Hendricks in his book called The Big Leap called the 4 zones. So what that means is that all of our skills and our abilities fall within one of 4 zones. The first one is our zone of incompetence. This is what you suck at. This is what you're bad at. The second is your zone of competence. You're average. You're decent. Like folding my laundry is my zone of competence. The zone of excellence is what you can be really good at, but you have to work hard at it. It's not what you love doing the most. Most people, they build a job in their zone of excellence. They're good at it, but they have to work hard. It doesn't come super naturally. And then the 4th zone, and what we want to look at, is our zone of genius. Your zone of genius is what you're great at, which comes naturally, and you love to do. That is where we want to build our career. So let me ask you this. Right now, what percentage of your time are you spending in your zone of genius versus your zone of excellence and your zone of competence? If you're like most people, it's a small minority, and we want to flip that around from perhaps 90% of your zone of competence and excellence and 10 in zone of genius to the other way, which is 90% of your life in your zone of genius, which is where you're most happy, productive, and successful. I want to share with you 4 journaling questions that are going to make a huge difference, that are going to help you have the introspection and the insight that can help you know what is your zone of genius, and then that will lead into step 3. The second step then is to understand what is your zone of genius. It might not be clear, and the thing with the zone of genius is that oftentimes it's so ingrained in us, it's so natural that we don't even realize it's our genius. So to help you get clear on that, the first question you can ask yourself is, what would I do if I had all the time and all the money in the world, but I still had to work? The first question is, what would I do if I had all the time and all the money in the world, but I still had to work? The second question is, what do I love geeking out about and learning more about? The third question is, when do I feel most alive? When do I feel most alive? And finally, your 4th question is, what can I be the best in the world at? What can I be the best in the world at? So my invitation to you is to take 1 question a day and challenge yourself to write at least 1 page on each. The first couple lines, it's going to be surface level stuff, but once you kind of get into it, you're going to go deeper and really get to know yourself and be like, wow, it was there all along. Your zone of genius is not some great mystery. It's just something you need to be able to look at and realize like, wow, that's what it is for me. The 3rd step, once you know what your zone of genius is you have to experiment relentlessly. Relentlessly. Meaning that you have this theory of, I think I want to be a writer. I think I would love to be a writer. I think that's my zone of genius. Well, then we got to set up an experiment where you start to put that into action and see how it actually feels. So in that case, a way you could do that is challenge yourself for the next 4 weeks to write 1 article a week. Then maybe you can submit it to a blog that takes guest posts, or maybe you can publish it on medium.com, or even just post it on your Facebook, see what people say. By doing that, by experimenting, you're going to get real data. Was my zone of genius, was that more fantasy, or is this like, no, I love doing this, I'm great at it, people love it, this is what I'm meant to do. Now, our 4th step, once you're clear on what your zone of genius is, you've experimented, you've verified like, yes, this is what I want to do. Now it's time to outwork everybody. Because now you got to start to build your skill set, build some connections, build your reality in the zone of genius. So at that point, let's say you want to build a business, well, you got to be willing to outwork others. You got to be willing to put in hours maybe after your 9 to 5. You got to be willing to do what others won't do. If you're going to a job interview, prepare more than the other guy. Spend more time think about the different questions, like, work on your posture, your body language, dressing up, going to buy some new clothes, like so you can show up at the interview and be at your best and just blow them out of the water. If you already have if you want to get a job in that field, you might even have to do some free work. Tell them like, hey, I'll work for free for 3 months to show you what I've got. If in 3 months you love what I'm creating, then we can talk about a paid position. Outwork everybody, do what others are not willing to do. And finally, the fifth and final step is to make a time frame commitment. So I've talked in the past about the importance of commitment, which is when you commit to something, you're like, I'm going all in. Now you kind of have this energetic link to your goal, which is going to make it so that when you hit obstacles, you're not going to quit, you're not going to give up, you're going to stay focused and get it done. Commitment is extremely important, extremely powerful, and it's scary because, what if you do it for a few months and you realize, actually, this is not my path. So the fifth step is to make a time frame commitment, which means give yourself, let's say, you want to be a writer, you want to build your own blog, you want to focus on that, give yourself 6 months. Say, I'm committing to this for 6 months, which means that for 6 months, you're not going to question yourself, second guess yourself, you're just going to go for it. And then in 6 months, you pause, you evaluate, hey, is this working? Am I pulling this off? Am I enjoying it? Does this feel like the right path? But for this time frame commitment, just go for it. Put all your chips in the middle and see what you're capable of within that time frame. So in summary, our 5 steps go like this. First, understand the 4 zone, including the zone of genius. Understand what that means. Second, get clear, what is your zone of genius? What were you born to do? 3, start to experiment with that zone of genius to get clear, like this is actually what it is on a practical level. Number 4, outwork everybody, put in the work, do what others won't do so you can start to build a career in that arena. And 5, make a time frame commitment. Give yourself time, give you the space to build your career, to start to create your dreams and to really get after it. So now I want to leave you with a question. What is one action you can take right now to start going the direction of your dreams? You've been listening to me talk for the last few minutes now. You've heard the framework, you've heard the concepts. It's all great. But if we don't act on it immediately, it's just mental masturbation. And we cannot let that happen. So leave me a comment below. Let me know what is one action you're committed to taking so that you can start to head in the direction of your dreams and create a career that is waiting for you. So on this note, thank you for watching this video. If you enjoyed it, please subscribe. Click on the button below to subscribe to my channel. I'll be recording one of those videos every week, and I've got a lot more stuff coming for you. On this note, have an amazing day and talk to you soon. Bye.